The villagers' urgent pleas about wild boars destroying crops pushed us into action. Yet, a looming storm turned this hunt into a heart-pounding race against time. Could we complete the mission and return safely before the tempest hit? The classic pincer strategy was in motion. While teammates and hunting dogs pressured from below, David took a prime position on high ground, overlooking the entire hillside. And there it is! It's revealed! Bang! Down it goes. Nice shot! A crisp, powerful strike, a testament to flawless team coordination. The echo of hunting dogs reverberated through the valley. The hunt was far from over. On another steep slope, James kept watch, eyes scanning every bush and rocky outcrop. He knew the panic below would drive the prey straight toward him. And just as predicted, look what we have here. Its speed was impressive, but no match for James' lightning reflexes and calculated shot. Pride filled him, not just for the kill, but for protecting the villagers from these destructive wild boars. But success didn't make James complacent. A bigger target was approaching, a hefty boar clumsily navigating the rocky slope below. From above, James patiently tracked every step, gun unwavering. One chance only. Would he take it? The moment arrived. The bullet flew, striking the vital spot just behind the shoulder. It didn't stand a chance to wreak havoc. James and David's shots confirmed the strategy's effectiveness, yet the encirclement continued at high intensity. On a gentler slope, I held a crucial post, the first line of defense ready for any prey driven from the dense forest below. Rustling in the bushes, my moment had come. Down it goes, before it even realized the danger. Not all wild boars run in panic. The clever ones hide, waiting for danger to pass. But my sharp eyes caught a suspicious movement in the lower brush. The scent told me they were nearby. I moved silently, closing in, holding my breath, waiting for the slightest slip. Bang! That shot wasn't just a hit, it was the culmination of skill, decisiveness, and pinpoint accuracy, the hallmarks of a true hunter. With the storm approaching, we urgently searched for the remaining alpha boar. Experience told us that in the sweltering heat before the storm, it would seek one place, the familiar stream. The team quietly took positions, turning the area into a trap. Would this final judgment be rewarded? Then, it dashed out from the streamside bushes like an arrow. It tried to escape, but was no match for bullets already chambered. As the final target fell, the hunting campaign concluded perfectly. We hastily loaded the spoils into the Jeep Wrangler and headed back. The first heavy raindrops began to fall just as we reached safety. Relief washed over us. Sometimes the greatest enemy isn't the fierce prey, but time itself. Today, we won that race.
not only foraging for food, wild boars also spread terror across crops and people's lives. Lurking in harsh conditions, they challenge every human limit. But whether it's bone-chilling cold or scorching heat, the hunters grip their rifles tightly, steadfastly advancing into the battlefield, where only grit determines survival. Will they succeed in taking down these beasts? Heart-pounding moments are about to unfold, and don't forget to watch until the end to pick the most unforgettable hunt. In sub-zero cold, Nick's hunting team presses forward through the snowy mountains of France, swiftly taking their assigned positions. Amid the snow-covered forest, a hunter keenly tracks every movement behind the dense trees. Suddenly, a large herd of wild boars appears, moving in an orderly line. Without hesitation, he locks onto the largest, fattest one and pulls the trigger. The target drops instantly, and the herd scatters in panic. The next shot only manages to take down the last boar before the rest vanish into the deep forest. A swift, cold-blooded opening shot kicks off today's challenging hunt. The tracking signal pinpoints the wild boar's location, and Nick immediately checks their direction of movement before leading the team straight to the ambush point. As expected, the herd starts to emerge from the snow-covered bushes. Gunshots ring out almost simultaneously, taking down the one. On the white snow, only their scattered carcasses remain. A precise operation, leaving no chance for anyone to escape. At another position, a hunter spots the silhouette of a wild boar lurking among the trees. Not giving it a chance to escape, a bullet strikes the beast, and it collapses instantly. Moments later, gunfire erupts from other positions, signaling more victories for the team. All threats from the monstrous herd are swiftly eliminated, restoring silence to the harsh, snowy mountains. A chase on the Moroccan hillside is reaching its climax. The hunting team arrived early, spreading out to surround the hill. The pack of hunting dogs immediately scatters to track down traces of the prey. In less than 10 minutes, a signal sounds, and moments later, a wild boar darts past Henry's line of sight. Without hesitation, a barrage of gunfire erupts, cutting off the boar's escape. Continuing to follow the remaining tracks, Henry moves along the hillside, peering intently through his binoculars. Suddenly, a large, fat wild boar appears, weaving through the bushes on the opposite side. Waiting for its body to fully emerge from the foliage, Henry swiftly pulls the trigger. The gunshot echoes, and the boar collapses on the spot, unable to take another step. Another victory is claimed, and a formidable threat is eliminated. At another spot on the hillside, a hunter suddenly spots a wild boar charging straight toward him. Just as it bursts through the bushes ahead, the gunshot rings out almost simultaneously. The clean, precise shot brings the beast down before it can escape. The threat to crops and the safety of the locals has been completely neutralized.
This holiday, I invited my friends to visit my grandparents. Initially, we planned to stay for just a few days, but upon hearing about a serious issue in the village, we immediately put our relaxation plans aside. My grandmother sadly shared that for the past few months, wild boars had been wreaking havoc on the farm, trampling the cornfields and even threatening the livestock. "If we don't do something, we'll lose the harvest," she said, her voice filled with concern. We couldn't just sit idly by. With our hunting experience, our group decided to turn this visit into a true adventure. Our goal wasn't just to help my grandparents protect their hard-earned crops, but also to experience a night in the wild, a place where every step, every sound challenges the courage of a young hunter. Temporarily bidding farewell to my grandparents, we set out early in the morning, heading towards the nearby forest with the hopes of bringing home many trophies by the end of the day. The snow had blanketed the ground, and the harsh weather posed an additional challenge. But with our resolve to protect the village, we pressed on without hesitation. From the top of a high hill, I spotted our first prey. A wild boar was trudging heavily through the thick snow. I raised my rifle, carefully aimed, and fired. Boom! The boar collapsed, lying motionless in the snow. A smooth start to the hunt. Despite the brutal weather, it fueled the energy and determination of our team for the rest of the day's adventure. We silently followed the trail of the wild boars until they emerged at the edge of the forest. Without hesitation, I made my way toward a small hill, raised my rifle, and aimed at the lead boar. I pulled the trigger. The gunshot shattered the stillness of the air, the bullet striking its target. The herd panicked, screeching and scattering in all directions. One boar collapsed, causing the others to desperately flee for their lives. Jack quickly pursued. He finished off a wounded boar that was still struggling, preventing it from causing any more damage. At this time of year, the weather is very unpredictable. In the morning, the snow begins to melt, but by the afternoon, the sky darkens and the sun fades away. The air turns cold and harsh, yet this doesn't affect us much. We continued our relentless hunt for the wild boars. Just as expected, the next target appeared before me. The boar was burrowed in the snow. All right. I carefully observed my target. I raised my rifle, squeezed the trigger. Boom! The boar fell swiftly. That was a harsh warning to any creature thinking of threatening the village. Meanwhile, not far off, Jack's skilled hunting dogs had discovered the hiding spot of another wild boar. They quickly surrounded it, leaving no escape route. Upon receiving the signal, the whole team moved swiftly toward the location. I kept my eyes fixed on the boar, which was hiding behind a dry branch. I waited for it to move into the perfect position, and then I would fire. Bang! The moment had arrived. With a single shot, I brought it down on the cold, snowy ground. And just like that, we had another trophy to bring back to my grandparents. The snow had started to fall, making movement through the forest even more difficult. So, we decided to move out to the edge of the woods. There was a road there, and while the snow wasn't as thick, it still posed a significant challenge for us. Walking along the path, I kept a careful eye out. From a distance, I could already hear the faint sound of wild boar footsteps. A dark figure suddenly appeared, crossing the road. I loaded a round into the rifle, steadying my aim. I pulled the trigger. The first shot didn't bring it down, so without hesitation, I squeezed the trigger again. This time, the shot was true, and the boar collapsed right there on the cold, snowy ground. That marked the end of today's hunting trip. On the other side, Jack had also spotted a target. A wild boar was slowly moving, rooting through the snow in search of any leftover food. It was completely unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Jack quietly moved closer, each step deliberate and careful to avoid making a sound. Once in the perfect position, he raised his rifle, holding his breath. He calculated the boar's movements and squeezed the trigger. Boom! The bullet sliced through the air, striking its mark. The boar collapsed. It seemed like an easy shot, but it required the calm and experience of a seasoned hunter. One small mistake and the boar could escape, posing a threat to the village. The sky was getting darker, and the snow had started to fall more heavily. We were forced to leave the forest and head back home. I knew my grandparents were waiting for us, and we didn't want to worry them. The boars we had caught were enough for today. Our plans for a relaxing break were canceled, but we all felt a sense of satisfaction for contributing to the peace of the village. I decided to stay a few more days to deal with the wild boar threat. The hunt wasn't over yet, and we were ready to set out again at any moment. Stay tuned to see how we continue to protect the land and stop the destruction caused by the wild boars in the coming days. With climate change and increasingly favorable habitats, the wild boar population in New South Wales has surged dramatically. It's estimated there are now over 8 million wild boars roaming the region. They've spread from mountain forests into farmlands, causing severe damage. Farmers report that a single herd can destroy an entire crop overnight. In response, we planned carefully to reduce damage and control these wild invaders. Armed with determination and thorough preparation, we left town, jumped on our vehicles, and headed straight into the wild boars' hiding grounds. Thanks to sharp instincts and the trained skills of our hunting dogs, the target was quickly picked up. Using agility and training, the dogs kept the prey locked down. Seizing this precious moment, I pulled the trigger decisively. The first shot was a success, bringing joy and confidence to the whole team and fueling our hunting spirit. The vastness of the terrain made tracking our targets tough and time-consuming. We kept moving across open areas on our Yamaha Viking, eyes peeled for any signs. Soon enough, a dark shadow revealed itself. Adjusting the scope and range, shots rang out one after another, each bullet hitting its mark and bringing down the beast instantly. Without hesitation, we continued sweeping the area before the boars could react. Minutes later, the sharp crack of gunfire echoed from different corners. The zone quickly fell under our control. Deeper inside, we stumbled upon a herd moving through tall grass. Taking careful aim, I squeezed the trigger without hesitation. One shot after another found their marks, cutting off all escape routes. No matter how quick they were, they couldn't outmatch our coordinated and precise teamwork. There was no chance for these destructive invaders. When word came of wild boars spotted to the south, Thomas was dispatched immediately. On his ATV, he sped through the terrain, weaving like a pro dancer, closing in fast on the prey. At perfect range, the bullet flew like destiny, leaving the beast motionless. During the fight, one boar broke out of sight and darted left. Thomas called it in. Without hesitation, I raced over, speeding like the wind to the designated spot. But this one was tricky, dodging and weaving slyly. It took a few minutes to nail down its path. When the moment was right, I lined up and squeezed the trigger. The sharp crack of the shot echoed like a final verdict. A well-earned victory, born of patience, precision, and perfect timing. As evening shadows fell and tension filled the air, everything seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the final result. Suddenly, a dark figure slipped in and out of view, a last challenge. Then, the decisive gunshot rang out, sharp and clear, sealing the success of the entire hunt. The team packed up, returning to the village with today's hard-earned trophies, proud to have protected the crops and preserved peace on this land.
Wild boars are ravaging the fields, spreading fear among farmers. But standing still is not an option. A group of fearless hunters has gathered, ready to take down the beasts and restore balance to the land. What follows are heart-pounding confrontations, where skill and precision make all the difference. Will these wild boars escape? Stay with us until the end to find out how this high-stakes hunt unfolds. 5 a.m. The familiar truck rolls forward, carrying Finn's hunting team toward the hills of Province, where fresh wild boar tracks have been spotted. Upon arrival, the team wastes no time. They quickly coordinate with a pack of hunting dogs and begin the pursuit. Without hesitation, Finn's teammates dash toward the noise, driven purely by instinct. Right before their eyes, a massive boar scrambles to escape the tightening circle of hounds. But it's too late. A single, decisive gunshot rings out, sealing off any chance of escape. Then come the volleys, each shot a triumph, each fallen boar a symbol of reclaimed peace for this land once plagued by destruction. At the same time, over on the Morven hillside, a heart-pounding chase was unfolding. Nick's team was already in position, lying in wait for the perfect moment. Then a wild boar emerged, starting to tear through the crops below. Before it could cause more damage, the team opened fire. The first shot hit, but the boar, driven by raw instinct, bolted uphill, desperately seeking escape. Nick immediately followed the trail it left behind. And just as the familiar silhouette came into view, a cold, precise shot into the air. The beast collapsed. No more running, no more destruction. Join Jay's hunting mission in the Ardennes forest, where the wild boar population is growing out of control, seriously threatening crops and the daily lives of local people. Before they had a chance to escape, gunfire broke out, rapid and intense. Some of the boars were taken down on the spot, while the rest quickly fled into the forest. But didn't stop there. Another burst of gunfire echoed from deeper inside the woods, as if to send a clear message to these beasts. This is no longer a place where they can run wild. Suddenly, a signal came from one of the team members, right as the sound of rustling leaves emerged from the bushes ahead. Burst out, lightning fast. Kevin's gunshot rang out instantly. The pack of hunting dogs rushed in, overwhelming the boar before it had any chance to escape. A clean, precise ambush executed to perfection. The sound of barking echoed from deep within the woods, signaling that the target had been spotted. Moments later, a wild boar burst out from the brush. Before it could sense the danger, John pulled the trigger. A precise shot, the boar dropped instantly. Gunfire soon followed from other positions, ending the hunt with swift, decisive action. Peace returned once more to the Eiffel Forest. The crops were safe.
Wild boars not only threaten our crops, but also pose a life-or-death challenge to us, the professional hunters. With their explosive reproductive rate, they devastate millions of acres each year, pushing nature to the brink of chaos. In this urgent situation, we're not just hunting wild boars, but protecting the ecological balance. If we don't act now, what will become of our environment? Stay tuned until the end to witness the fate of these savage beasts. At 5 a.m., we enter the territory taken over by the wild boars. Each member quickly splits up, calculating every step carefully. The hunting dogs, once released, immediately catch the scent and signal the presence of the prey. Upon receiving the signal, I rush forward. Oh, it's here! Too fast, it notices and tries to escape. But just as it makes its move, boom! A perfect shot halts its escape entirely. We can't afford to underestimate the cunning of these wild boars. 1 second of carelessness can lead to unimaginable consequences. We continue our search, tracking new targets. After a short distance, figures lurking in the fields are visible and cannot escape our sight. I adjust my focus, aim carefully, and squeeze the trigger. The shot rings out as expected, sending the boars into a panic. But it's too late. After a series of precise shots, all that's left are their bodies lying on the ground. Moments later, more dark shapes appear, unaware of the battle that just took place. Once again, our sharp shooting skills are put to the test. With each precise shot, honed through countless fierce battles, we don't give them a chance to escape. From another angle, an alarm sounds. It seems the boars are trying to flee after the recent commotion. John immediately gets the order, quickly moving to block their escape route. The boar, unaware of John's approach, becomes an easy target. With swift and decisive action, John lines up the shot. Perfect! The bullet strikes true. Other boars nearby don't escape the perfect control John exerts. The area is quickly secured. As the battle grows fiercer, new targets appear. With years of experience and a deep understanding of wild boar behavior, we are fully prepared. The timing and positions have been carefully calculated, awaiting the right moment to strike. Before long, this area is cleared, leaving no trace of the marauding beasts. Not a second to spare, we move toward the edge of the field where the wild boars are likely hiding. Sure enough, they emerge. I line up my shot, the bullet instantly speeding towards its target. Nice! The feeling of victory floods in. It's almost unbelievable how perfectly the shot landed. Despite knowing how slippery these creatures can be, even the most decisive moves can't always stop their speed and agility. A few of them manage to dart into the dense forest nearby, narrowly escaping the chase. The hunt continues, and we deploy all available resources and advanced gear to launch a new strategy. Every position is meticulously calculated based on the boar's known hiding habits. Soon, the targets begin to appear. The rifles are ready, no room for error. A shot rings out, and the boar drops instantly. Simultaneously, from all sides, gunfire erupts, marking our absolute dominance. A flawless battle, everything under control, every step calculated perfectly.